In the heart of a lush village called Omwe, surrounded by towering trees and the songs of birds, there lived a young woman named Amara. She was known throughout the village for her striking beauty, her smooth, dark skin that shimmered under the sun, her long, braided hair, and her bright, mischievous eyes. People often marveled at her beauty, but what they didn't know was that beneath her charming smile was a heart that loved to weave tales, whether they were true or not. Amara's mother, Nia, was a wise and respected elder, and she always warned her daughter, "Pretty girls like you must not use their beauty to deceive. Your words should be as pure as your heart, for truth is a seed that grows into trust, and trust is what people value most." But Amara, with her flirtatious nature and love for attention, often found herself telling stories that stretched the truth. One day, a handsome traveller named Kwame arrived in Omwe. He had journeyed from a faraway village in search of work, and when he entered the village square, his presence captured the attention of every woman, including Amara. He had the deep voice of a lion and eyes that seemed to hold secrets of distant lands. Amara couldn't resist. Sitting under the large baobab tree, Amara approached Kwame with a playful smile. "I hear you are looking for work," she said, her voice as sweet as honey. "Well, there's no better place to find it than here, but I must warn you, the elders only trust those with the strength of a lion and the heart of a gazelle." Kwame laughed, intrigued by her confidence. "And how do you know I possess such qualities?" "Oh, I know many things," Amara replied. "I can see things in people that others cannot. For example, I know you are the son of the great chief from the village of Nkosu, a place so rich in wisdom that the elders there communicate with the ancestors through dreams." Kwame's eyebrows raised in surprise. "I am indeed from Nkosu, but I've never heard such tales about my village." Amara smiled mischievously, twirling a lock of hair around her finger. "You must not have been told everything about your lineage. Perhaps it is I who can teach you." Kwame, both fascinated and slightly skeptical, decided to spend the day with Amara, listening to her stories. As they walked through the village, she continued to spin elaborate tales of her adventures and connections to powerful people, none of which were true, of course. She claimed to have once danced for the king of a distant land, and that her father had saved a prince from certain death. The entire village, enchanted by her stories, soon began to spread word of her connections to distant rulers and kingdoms. Soon people began seeking her out, asking for her advice and hoping to gain favor through her alleged ties. Amara loved the attention and basked in it, but little did she know that one of her lies would soon come back to haunt her. Several days later, the village received a visitor, a chief from a neighboring land, who was looking for someone with knowledge of royal matters. When he heard of Amara's stories, he immediately requested to meet her, believing she was the key to forging an alliance with her supposed connections. Amara, caught up in her web of lies, agreed to meet the chief, convinced she could talk her way out of any situation. When the chief arrived, he asked her, "Amara, tell me of your relationship with the great rulers of Nkosu. I hear you have the ear of their king." Amara hesitated, but her desire to impress outweighed any doubt. "Ah, yes, the king. He is a dear friend of my family. We've been through many trials together," she said, weaving yet another elaborate tale. The chief, keen on gaining favor, said, "I see. Then perhaps you can arrange a meeting between me and the king." Amara's heart raced. She had never expected her lies to go this far, but instead of admitting the truth, she found herself nodding, agreeing to make the arrangements. The chief, believing her, left with high hopes. Amara spent the next few days in panic, knowing she had no real way to contact the king of Nkosu. Desperate, she turned to her mother for advice. Nia, who had been quietly observing her daughter's growing web of deception, shook her head. "Amara, lies are like a fire. At first they may seem small and harmless, but soon they can consume everything around them. In the dead of night, As Amara sat in her hut, staring at the stars, she realized the truth of her mother's words. She could not let this lie go on any longer. The next morning, she went to the chief and, with great humility, confessed everything. "I am sorry," she said. "I told you stories that were not true. I have no connections to the kings and queens of faraway lands. I only wanted to impress you and others with my words, but I realize now that trust is more important than tales." The chief, though initially angry, saw the sincerity in her eyes. "Your beauty may have attracted me, but it is your honesty that will earn my respect," he said. Amara, though embarrassed, was grateful. She had learned a valuable lesson. From that day on, she told only the truth, realizing that her beauty would fade with time, but her character would remain. And so Amara, the pretty liar, became Amara, the wise woman, one whose beauty was matched only by the honesty in her heart.